the right angle. Started.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to Ellie and Keith of Israel Unleashed.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Today's topic, we're going to talk about anti-Semitism. And nowadays, with what's going on worldwide, we have unexpected levels of anti-Semitism worldwide, especially in Europe and in America, and places that didn't have such high numbers. We're seeing in England and in America over 300% anti-Semitic attacks, and within a month, not a year, within a month. And the statistics and everything that's around that is overwhelming, man. And I haven't seen nothing at levels like this since World War II, apparently. Anti-Semitism has always been a thing for thousands of years and stuff against Jews and stuff like that. But I don't know, in the last 500-600 years, if you know your history, it's taken off in Europe, and this is kind of the 500 years before World War II. Actually, is what brought anti-Semitism and hatred, and which made World War II happen. Exactly. Mm-hmm. This is what, like Hitler, for example. He used this tactic to encourage people to do everything that he wanted them to do, basically.
I heard that he got to hypnotize the Germans, all this generation, and he make them to become really monsters towards Jews.
And this is what pretty much started all that off. But me personally, I have had a couple anti-Semitic attacks in my life growing up. I had run-ins with people who identify themselves as the Ku Klux Klan. There's there's a large amount of them in Ohio where I'm from and stuff like that. And then you also have skinheads and white supremacists and stuff. Well, skinheads and white supremacists are the same as, if you ask me, are the same as Ku Klux Klan. But skinheads I also had run-ins with them on the Ohio State University campus where I live. And we had a lot of fights with these people, and they used to call me derogatory names and tell us how Hitler should have finished us in the ovens and all that stuff. And also we'd go to shul, which is the synagogue, or Beit Knesset, and we'd have people shoot at us while we were on a Friday night praying and stuff like that.
Shooting at the synagogue?
People shooting at the synagogue, stuff like that, or throwing rocks at us and stuff like that. And it's a big nowadays I see people just randomly, they spot Jewish people, or they ask people if they're Jewish, and they randomly ask them if they're Jewish, and then they beat them up and stuff like that in gangs of people, which is it's a very disturbing thing, especially to see or read about, man. Especially when you have your own people getting attacked like the way they are. But not just finally getting attacked in America or Europe or Australia and places like this. They're also getting attacked here in Jerusalem and stuff, and you have people making videos of it, putting it on TikTok and stuff like that, from what I see. Mm-hmm. There's a whole big craze on an application called TikTok, where people are filming other people who are going to chase after people and start to beat them up and stuff. And then they say free Palestine and stuff like that in the video. But I mean, eventually the video gets taken down, but people get to see that stuff. But
so you see it as anti-Semitism?
To me, I think it's anti-Semitism. But I mean, nowadays in the world we live in, and we have a lot of people who are angry about governments, about world wars, or not world wars, but wars going on, and hunger, money. Money's a financial is a big issue worldwide because of the corona situation in the last year and whatever. And a lot of people when they tend
to get out their frustration.
When they tend to get their frustration, they tend to blame Jews. They blame a lot of our. It's an age-old question. They blame the Jews for everything. I always get people who always tell me we own the banks, we own the media.
You tell it to people?
No, they tell me this. What I'm saying? I have random people who tell me this kind of stuff on Facebook and stuff like that. And I laugh about that because I'm like, if we own the banks, we own this, and I mean, you'd think we'd have a lot more control than these people think we have.
But I also, what I heard, that people that tell things about us, that we are rich, and if we weren't rich, you would love us?
No.
So it's actually it's excuse for their hatred, and it's part of their faith.
The funny thing is that, like, I had a guy I worked with at one time years ago when I used to work as a bouncer, like at a nightclub. And one night we were all hanging out together and whatever. And this guy just tells me I hate Jews and Jews are this and Jews are that. And instead of getting angry, I didn't let him know I was Jewish at first. But then when I asked him, well, what do you know about Jewish people? Why do you hate them? And the funny thing is, he couldn't answer the question. He didn't know really what to say. He just was like, basically he was taught to hate us, yeah?
Yes.
And this is just something came down from his parents down to him, I guess, But I mean, when I told him I was Jewish, the look on his face was like, Because, when you're in a comfort zone and you feel like you can say whatever you want to say, and then when someone says there's something, then your reaction's a lot different than it was when you were comfortable, But, the funny thing is that, like, every group of people experiences some sort of hate, and every group of people all through history have experienced some sort of genocide against them, or try to be like, groups of people who try to wipe them out.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't matter what group of people. I mean, the human race has pretty much done this all through history to each other. Depends on how much people know about history. A lot of people kind of only go back.
So what makes anti-Semitism special, if so?
What makes it so special, huh?
Special in the bad way.
Well, anti-Semitism is like, it's an attack against, Semitic people in a specific, towards those people. You know what I'm saying? Since we're the Semitic people.
Maybe if it's something mutual to all nations, because everywhere you see hatred to one another, but when it's coming to Jews, most of them agree on that hatred. It's okay. Because I don't know nothing about like say French or let's say Spanish people. I don't know nothing about them, but they know about me. They think of me in bad ways.
Yeah, that's true.
So
you grew up
without knowing me.
You grew up in Russia and stuff like
Yes,
that. I mean,
yes.
in Russia, anti-Semitism with the pogroms back in the day were pretty big. So,
Yes.
I mean, like, when you grew up and stuff, how was your experience growing up being Jewish? Well, you didn't really find out till you were later on in life that you were Jewish.
Actually, I didn't experience it a lot. Most of my experience was the stories of my parents about them not getting into the, into college and stuff like that because there were Jews, and not get into all the jobs they wanted to be working in because there were Jews. Me personally, one time I went to with my grandmother to a music lesson, and on our way there was a person before us that were cursing Jews about like an hour. We were going after him. He was cursing Jews. It was so unpleasant, He was drunk, and was my first time that I met myself personally anti-Semitism in Russia. And in the end, like a half year before we went to Israel, my best friend started. He didn't know I'm a Jew, but he started to tell me something. Don't be like a Jew. Things like that.
I've heard
Don't
that
be like a Jew. So I said to myself, like it to me that he doesn't know I'm Jew. What's going on? What's gonna be now after he's find out? It's a matter of time,
Right.
So I was so upset about his behavior. Even I knew that he doesn't nothing about Jews. So I said to myself, if my best friend behaving like that, it's a proof. It's a proof to me that with time it will be worse.
Right.
That's it.
I understand. That's why you did bring up an interesting issue about how, like, was your grandparents or something like that? They were talking about how
My parents
your parents, okay,
Yes.
like they couldn't go to university because
in
of,
70s, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's funny because a lot of times in America, you see these today. You've seen a lot of universities in America starting not to let Jews in because they look at them as privileged. No matter that we've gone through this and gone through that, we're still privileged people. That's how they look at us and stuff like that. These progressive people. And they're doing a lot of things that they did during World War II towards us men, and looking at us as privileged, stopping us from going to universities, attacking us on the streets. I mean, a lot of the same things that were going on then are happening today and stuff like that. And it's in unprecedented levels. It's honestly scary and stuff like that. But sometimes I think about this. I think about anti-Semitism and stuff like that, and what Jews have to endure outside of Israel, let alone in Israel. But I always thought we look at it in a certain way sometimes. Anti-Semitism, and it happens for a reason. A lot of the world's against us and they hate us. There's nothing we can do to really change that unless we come together and do what we're supposed to do as our Bible says.
Okay. So you
but
see, okay.
I just think that it's God saying something to somebody. Sometimes when things happen to you and hate coming around you, then it's time to come back home.
Okay.
I'm just saying you have for the longest time I can remember people always telling us to leave, and they don't want us to live there and stuff like that. Which you get it now here because people are saying the Arabs and this is their country and this, but that's the facts on the ground dispute that. But whatever, that's a whole other video. But when things happen, it's time for people to come back home. God does give us warnings, if you ask me. He tells you,
what is home for you?
The question is if you're listening or not. I had many anti-Semitic things with myself and with my parents, and us together as a whole family going abroad in England one time. I had people say something to my whole family about us being Jewish, and to us it's not a big deal. But when you're growing up and you don't understand that.
But kid, the
problem. It changes your view of the world. Yeah.
You said that the part of the solution to anti-Semitism is to bring us back home.
It was a thought. It was just something I was thinking about.
But it's right for people who wants to do from their own reasons. When anti-Semites hear you, they can say that's also our purpose. To get the Jews out of our countries and send them to Israel.
That's true.
So it's not exactly, you understand?
No, I agree with you. I understand.
You understand me?
But you have a lot of French Jews, for example, who've come and they've left France because of anti-Semitism, yes, and hateful attacks and people beating them and harassing their family and stuff like that. Honestly, we don't live in a peaceful world. As humans, we have all sorts of envy and hate and greed and all sorts of problems with each other and ourselves, and we tend to take that on other people, man. But sometimes we specifically hit one group of people, not just us. Sometimes you have people who hit black people or Asian people because of certain events that are going on in the world.
So it's also groups that are discriminated.
There are a lot of
groups. We agree in that.
Everyone's discriminated against, if you ask me. But,
not everyone.
But there are specific groups specifically.
Listen, white people feel like they are discriminated, but they are not.
No, they're not.
It's delusion.
Honestly, if you ask me, and when it comes to white people in the whole, it comes from a lot of the problems stem from basically white people in Europe colonializing the world, and pretty much with the British Empire and stuff like that, and them taking over places and then losing them, and chaos still pursues in a lot of countries like Pakistan and India and here in Israel, and other places that the British left and stuff like that. But those people at one time were superior as they looked at themselves. If you still meet English people today and French people, because
that's the feeling you get from them.
They used to own the world, man. They used to run the world, man. English and French and the Portuguese and stuff. They used to be the world's superpowers, and when you talk to these people today, they have this
vibes
not like I'm
them.
better than you, but it's just that they're proud of their history and what their country's achieved and stuff like that, but they don't realize the kind of damage that they've done to people worldwide. You know what I mean? And basically the barriers and stuff like that they put up because of them going in and setting up things and them not agreeing with it and then having wars and leaving. And a lot of times when you have wars, then that leaves a bad taste in your mouth forever, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I mean, I've lived here many years and I've met people from all over the world, from like Uzbekistan, Russia, Argentina, China, all, you know, Mexico. I mean, and they all say the same thing, man, you know. They all come here for their own personal reasons, but I mean, they all basically left their countries because of the hate that they get towards us.
Generally, yes.
Generally. And, you know, I mean, basically the hatred that happens between either their country and another country they had a war with. And if it doesn't matter if it was 100, 200 years ago, that hatred still lays there, you know. It's still
because
like inbred
all
in
other
them,
reasons, it seems to a person can handle them.
right?
You know, the lack of money and diseases.
That's true.
When you get bad treatment from people around you, you cannot handle it.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, but you know, there's a respect. You want people when you meet people, you want people to be nice to you. You know what I'm
respect is
saying? You want people generally to treat you the way you treat them.
you want to be loved.
You want to be loved, but
From let's start from the beginning. You don't want to be killed.
That's true.
Let's start from there.
You don't, yeah, that's a big that's where a lot of this leads to.
Yes.
And yeah, you're right. You don't want to be killed, and you know you do what it takes to survive. Right? But you make a good point with that. You don't want to be killed, and I like that.
Thank you.
But that's pretty much sums that up. Man. Basically, with a lot of what happens with a lot of power, because a lot of times you have anti-Semitic attacks and people get killed because of the hatred. They attack them with guns and knives and all sorts of stuff. So you know, you don't want to fall a victim to that.
So I think when when you started talking about going back home as a part of the solution to anti-Semitism, I thought about. You also mentioned that God wants us to behave as He wants, and maybe we can see a problem and a solution.
That's true.
So.
Eventually, it says that eventually we're all going to come home and whatever, you know.
So coming home, it's many things.
It's many things, but
everyone differently on their personal level, but generally, we can all see the direction. But
that's
points.
true. But the funny thing is, like, during World War II, for example, you had a bunch of people who experienced severe, like, anti-Semitic attacks from, like, the brown shirts of Nazis, you know, beating them in the streets and attacking their businesses and burning them down and stuff like that. And honestly, how much can somebody take especially when you had a group like that, and people were telling people you should leave Germany and you should do this because look what's happening and it's getting worse. It's not getting any better, and you know, people, countries outside just wanted to make peace, so they figured that it doesn't have to do with us. We'll just keep quiet and let things happen.
Not our business.
And look what happened out of that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, like sometimes, you know, you have a couple events that take place. I mean, I understand or whatever, but it happens on a level that's going on. It's unprecedented from years before.
It show us.
It shows you something. Man.
It shows us that we as Jews cannot rely on other nations and countries to defend us.
That's true. And
if they want to defend us, it's good for them.
Right.
It's their blessing to you know,
exactly.
to keep us alive, to join the good forces, you know.
Right.
But what I understand from the Holocaust is we have to think for ourselves how to survive, how to act in front of other nations and people. Because we cannot please everyone.
That's true, but the thing with us, man, is that we have a long history.
Okay.
A very long history. Man. The Romans destroyed, the Greeks, the Romans, they came to destroy the temple twice. You know what I'm saying? You had the Inquisition. You had, the Holocaust. You see that history repeats itself. It might not happen 100 years or 20 years down the road, but it definitely repeats itself, and it's a lesson, especially to us. And when you see things going south in a certain country, and or certain places in the world like things are going now. I mean, it's definitely like a warning sign of the signs on the writings on the walls. They say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you should think about how to protect. First of all, if you're going to stay, you should think about you're going to protect yourself and your family.
Of course.
And I mean, you think about surviving and survival, yeah.
If God created a man,
But
a man should think how he
no,
maintain this condition,
That's of course, but
how to stay alive.
But I mean, like with recent events and stuff like that, you see how fast people turn on people. One day we're friends, and next thing
Listen,
don't be like a Jew, as your friends say. You know what I mean?
Friendship.
It happens like that.
Friendship is something that everybody should prove as long as they live.
No, of course.
The real friends.
A real friend, yeah.
Should prove it to one another.
Exactly.
But when you're taking like in other countries, relationship between Jews and not Jews, it's like how do I say it? It's something that you should work in it every minute of your life, but from where I see, a Jew cannot afford to himself to rely on somebody who is different. Unfortunately. I'm saying it with sadness.
I mean, I see that.
It's not like I'm, don't purposely don't trust others.
Right.
But from what I saw, Jew cannot rely on other people.
No.
If there will be with him.
The problem with us is we're always standing alone, which I find it kind of odd.
No, why always? Actually,
there's been a couple times in history that there have been people that came to help us.
That's right.
I mean,
that's right.
And
we should appreciate it and respect it, and
Yeah, of course. I mean, like look at when the Inquisition happened. Yeah.
Yes.
You had the Moors who were Muslims.
Okay.
Who were kicked out of Spain first. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually came back to pick us up and bring us and save us out of.
Here you go.
And look how they were slaughtering people left and right back then.
Here you go.
I mean, doing awful things and torturing people just to convert them to Christianity and stuff like that. I mean, yeah. There's been times that other people. There are times that people have come to help us.
That's
but
right.
I mean, like it's a small number, man. It's not something big. But the funny thing is, like, look what's going on in Miami right now. I don't know if you heard the building fell down or whatever.
I heard.
And we send an aid and we send people to go and dig through and find people and stuff like that. And when you have earthquakes and hurricanes and stuff like that, we send humanitarian aid.
As a country.
And as a country, send humanitarian aid and send people to go help.
Because we care.
Because we care. But this is who we are. But a lot of people don't realize that. It's we do wonderful things, but a lot of people don't ever see them. It's not news, yeah.
But in order to see something,
you see only the bad. You don't ever see the good about what we're doing.
I think good people see that and respect that.
I agree.
But bad people, if I can say, if I can afford myself to generalize it, they don't earn the right to see.
Right.
God doesn't give them the right to see the good things that Jews do.
I agree. Sometimes that's sad.
No,
it's sad. I don't know. I mean, like not just for being Jewish. I just think that sometimes when you see somebody do something nice, it's like kind of heartwarming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And then you see some guy fall down the street, and then like a couple people come and pick him up and whatever. I mean, it's a nice act. You see that there are good people.
If you're a human, you directly appreciate it.
That's true.
But
you feel that when you see that, you're like that's something. If you see something good, and then this is what you look for, I guess, in a day sometimes.
This is the love that you're.
You look for the love, but you look for
hoping to receive.
You look to see if there really is good people. There are good people, but there's such a minority that screams louder than everybody else that it drowns that out. You don't get to see that so much, and it's sad. I don't know. It bothers me at some point.
From the other point of view, we have a God.
We have a God, but I mean,
God is
me
on
personally,
our side.
I try to wake up every day and I say thank you for what He's given me, my health and happiness, my family and stuff. But I try to go through the day to try to be a good person. I don't try to. Even if I get angry, I try to be good. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know, it's not such an easy thing. It's a choice. It's a choice that I've made, whatever. But I mean,
Hope to overcome yourself.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, like, you know, sometimes it's a conflict in an inner conflict. But I mean, I sometimes don't want to be nice. I want to tell people to go, and punch people and stuff. But it doesn't really do anything or get you anywhere. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's just frustration building up, and then you let it out or whatever. But you have these emotions that sometimes try to take the best of you. But it's a choice to be
I think when
be
a
on
person-
the person you need to be and on the right path. You know what I mean?
I think when you when a person gets angry, he hopes that the other side will understand his anger and start to to considerate him.
Right.
This is the hope, and
But sometimes you get that, but I mean, like, you have to express to them. You have to express to them how what you're thinking, how you're feeling. And
when
what
you
your friend
express
is,
yourselves inside of anger, maybe sometimes.
I mean,
But it's not,
expressing
that's
yourself
the right.
is
It's not the
everything.
right way. You
That's true.
understand?
Expressing yourself is everything, you know. And then people know where you're coming from and stuff. A lot of times people say things to you to get angry with you because they got their own problems or things going on in their mind and whatever, and you just caught them on a bad day. And it doesn't
That's
necessarily
right,
mean they're
that's
angry at
right,
you or
that's
whatever.
right, that's
but
right. Yeah,
You just happen to be
yes.
the closest person to take it out on you.
Or the right person.
The right person, you never know. But I mean, I don't know. Everything happens for a reason, I think. But I don't know. I just personally would end all this and stuff like that. I just think that, like, with what's going on and the high rates of like attacks towards us and the way people actually feel towards Israel and Jews in general. I mean, I don't know, I find it like I guess I can say it's a little scary. Because, I mean, like, my grandparents lived through, like, horrible things, and the last thing I want to do is live through that, or even have my kids live through that, you know what I mean?
Listen, everybody is afraid and scared of the future and what to expect from.
Yeah, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, but,
You never know. You never know.
Some things you can stop, and some things are out of
Actually,
your
you
control.
can. You have a reason to be afraid, but
Right.
all that was true if we didn't have our God.
No, that's true.
You
Obviously,
understand?
that stuff is a test,
It's your secret weapon,
Yeah, I mean, God is in life and in death, man, you know what I'm saying? He's in both worlds.
Is beyond all those things.
Yeah,
If you're not relying on God, you have nothing to rely on.
that is true. You have nothing to rely on whatsoever, you know what
So
I mean? No, it's not,
so we live between hope and frustration, right?
Right.
Every day.
Every day.
It's our dance that we dance every day.
That is the dance we dance every day. That's true.
And
I couldn't say it better myself, man.
thank you. And maybe it's all the solution for the antisemitism, like it's a solution for everything else, right?
I agree. Everything happens for a reason, but sometimes us as individuals can't understand the whole picture of everything. It's not something easily grasped, but it's food for thought. Right? Well,
Okay.
thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for
Peace
watching
and love
us.
from us.
Bye from Israel.
Bye-bye.
Israel Unleashed.